AskReddit by J. Estiner. What's something that's not a cult but feels like a cult? Salesforce. No, I don't want to build a community, go hiking or join 100 online classes to learn the basics. Make a couple of well-explained, to the point training videos FFS. Maybe 10-12 years ago I went to an alumni event for a friend's college and sat next to a guy who worked for Salesforce. I know this because that's how he introduced himself. When I asked what SF was, because it was the early days, he was visibly shocked and just said, I work for Salesforce. Everybody wants to work for Salesforce. Still not quite sure what it does, despite being surrounded by SF offices, but whenever I see an employee walk around with a SF logoed backpack or hoodie, I whisper everybody wants to work for Salesforce. Essential oils. We get it, you're a single mom and you want to work from home, but damn, you guys sure drank the Kool-Aid. No. It's a drink made with lemon essential oil to cleanse my liver, lavender oil which I use in place of my anti-anxiety meds, and just a little bit of grapefruit oil because it's just so good and I'm quirky like that. S. Please never ever ingest essential oils ever. Beachbody, especially the coaches. The Herbalife organization. They were charged with being a pyramid scheme, but they still operate in a similar way. There are several people I grew up with who became hooked on it, and they definitely act like they're in a cult. I worked with a Herbalife rep and we got along well until one day we were talking about the gym and he was giving me tips. The conversation ended up as a sales pitch for me to buy the products he was selling, and I honestly didn't talk to him much after that. Some workplaces. The ones that push the "we're all family here" attitude especially. I worked in a place that tried to convince the employees we were a family. They basically meant that they would abuse you and expect you to take it, because family. They actively discourage current employees from socializing with former employees. If an employee left because he was fired, it was because he was a bad example to the others and had to be excised from the group. If an employee left because he got fed up and quit, it was because he was a bad apple anyway, but they had not legitimate reason to fire him yet. Either way, that former employee is no longer one of us and should be avoided at all costs. One employee was chastised for liking too many of a former employee's FB posts. MLMs, but especially Mary Kay. I went to a convention once as the guest of a consultant because she was trying to get me to join. It was very step forward. Also, she didn't tell me you were expected to dress up, so I showed up in jeans and a hoodie. Did they actually tell you in advance it was a convention? My experience with that was when my friend gave me the line and asked me if I'd be willing to be a practice model while someone gave me a makeover. It ended up being an hours-long award ceremony where the women wept over how MK changed their lives and made them successful business people. They thought my eyes watering from all the yawning was tears of joy and tried to recruit me. Never did end up getting my makeup done that night. I snuck out as soon as I could. Nutri-Boom. Please sign here that you've seen Debbie Stobbelman and find her to be happy, healthy, and alive. X. I just went through at least 2 dozen top replies and shocked Burning Man isn't listed. Y'all burners are fucking weird. Source. I was one who has critical thoughts about how things work yet have found ideas are only cool if you're popular. This is fascinating. I wanted to go for a long time for the music and art, but could not stand the vibe people got about it who went. I remember friends going and suddenly totally changing their friend groups. And a friend saying he's cool, he's a burner. It's really sad to me though. I'm a lover of less commercial electronic music and would love to see the amazing art and cars, but I feel like I'd find the burners the most exhausting aspect. Only really because they preach being yourself and yet they all kind of look act the same. Call me Kevin subscribers, it's not a cult, I promise. Yes, definitely not the cult of Jim Pickens. The Holy Church of CrossFit. I'm a member of the not quite as well known Church of Orangetheory. If you ask us about proper rowing technique, we'll all start chanting at you. Legs, core, arms, arms, core, legs. Rowing is 60% leg drive power, patience, patience. And X200B. When I first joined 2.5 years ago, I came home with my little folder of information and coupons to local businesses, a tote bag, a car magnet, and the heart rate monitor, and said to my husband, I think I just joined a cult. Curly girl method groups. Flat iron, jail. Hair dye, jail. Sulfates, you right to jail. Silicones, right to jail, right away. No deep conditioning, believe it or not, jail. We have the best hair in the world because of jail. AA. I am an AA. I like AA. It saved my life. But it is cultish a lot of the time. Also in AA, also love AA, also agree. Forced school songs that talk about being a part of the school forever. School spirit. I can understand it for university, but not for high school or below, which I didn't have a choice in attending. I went there because it was the school I ended up being sent to, ergo I should be proud of it. I don't get it. CrossFit. A friend of mine does CrossFit and I made the mistake of saying I'm glad you found something that works for you. Got a tirade of why it works for everyone. Working for a non-profit. They tend to refer to employees as a family working for a cause, which wouldn't be culty on its own, but they definitely use it to manipulate employees to work themselves half to death and set a culture where boundaries are thought of as not being invested in the mission. They also use your passion for the mission to justify working you harder, paying you less. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my job and what I get to do. But I'm old enough to see what's been done to me over the years. The rotating door of young employees who are worked to burn out and replaced, though, I feel bad for. It's a hard lesson to learn. Edit. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you all for the genuinely kind comments, feedback and commiseration. I had no idea this comment would resonate with so many people. I truly appreciate that you took the time to share your stories with me. Got told we weren't paid a lot because we were doing something we were passionate about. I was one of those that had no boundaries and burned out. Getting my masters to become a NP manager and help stop the burnout culture madness. Peloton. Seriously. My dad hasn't stopped talking about it since getting it a year ago and went so far as to buy me one for Christmas this year. Which is super generous and my fat ass will totally benefit, but feels like I'm being indoctrinated into something. The instructors are really intense and say culty things. I think the idea is to physically torture you to the point that you don't notice you're being programmed to spread Peloton gospel to anyone who will listen. I've been so bored that joining a cult where I get hotter sounds okay though. Time to sort by controversial. I didn't know about that cult. Texas A&M University. Edit. My first gold and platinum, thank you all so much. Also I am an Aggie myself. In high school I made a presentation on the traditions at A&M. I covered as many traditions as I could find. My mom went there. My uncles went there. My granddad went there. So early on in life I knew I was going to go there. Right after I finished someone said that sounds like a cult. Edit. I didn't end up going there. My grades were not that good and the university I ended up going to had a better physics program for me. Working at Amazon. Hell, just interviewing with Amazon feels like an initiation with all the leadership principles and whatnot. The Order of the Arrow in the Boy Scouts. Technically an approved organization, but it's cultish as hell. It's funny, because they make you do this big induction camp out, and the day after I got back from mine, my English teacher gave a lecture on how to identify a cult, and it hit a lot of red flags. Edit. Good lord. Apparently nothing gets people talking like reminiscing about being in a cult. I thought someone was calling me because I was getting so many messages. Deleted. Our mechanical keyboards. We dance to the gospel hymns of the click-clack of switches. Some fandoms. Especially K-pop fandoms. So accurate. Every time I try to make friends based on my interest in certain things, Lord of the Rings, specific bands, Harry Potter, etc., I feel so pushed out because I'm not into it enough. I enjoy a lot of things and would love to share them with people. But I don't care that it's a specific musician's birthday or what his dog's name is, and I listen to more than one artist and like more than one movie book. Some families. If you're inside the family, you are accepted no matter what and you don't question anything. If you're outside the family, you are treated politely but don't really matter much unless you act as part of the family. If you were part of the family, but betray them, you are excommunicated and they spread lies about you. Whenever my wife and I see signs in people's houses that say something like, "This is a happy family," or "This family lives, laughs, and loves," we like to call it household propaganda. We tend to picture those families the way you describe here. Disney. If you've ever known anyone who has worked at Disneyland, they will talk your ear off about how it's the happiest place on earth and how lucky they are to work there. Well, pre-pandemic. I worked with someone who used to work at Disney. Every third sentence out of her mouth was, "Well, at Disney her desk was piled high with Disney cartoon dolls and she took faux fur covered notebooks to meeting and wrote in them with these long pens with fluffy, brightly colored tufts at the end. She also dressed like an extra on the set of Little House on the Prairie." Iffy behavior for a 20-something, but this woman was 57 years old. I already had a lot of problems with Disney. That kind of put the final nail in the coffin. Marching band. If you know, you know. One thing that still blows my mind to this day is that people pay thousands of dollars to be in drum corps bands. So many questions when I first learned about it. Oh, so it's like being in an orchestra where it's your job to play and be the best in the world? Nope, you pay them actually. Oh well, at least you'll be basically famous or at least really well known for playing that instrument? Nope, the only people who even know the name of your corps or even what drum and bugle corps is in general are other corps members, their family, or high school marching band kids and their teachers. Annus annus. What tipped you off? The Latin, the constant themes of death and impermanence, or the low chanting? High school clubs where you spend a lot of time together. Marching band and theater are the ones that come to mind for me. This is extremely true of theater, even into the professional ranks. Too many gurus, too little pay, too many abuses. Football club fans, especially the organized group of supporters. I didn't find any specific word in English, but I meant clacks, torcidus organizatus, etc. Edit, I found that they are called ultras in English. Edit 2, I'm referring to the game played with the feet. Edit 3, typo. Back in my university years I was in a student organization named AIESEC which offered students international apprenticeships. For me it totally felt like a cult. I went on a AIESEC project into Kyrgyzstan for 6 weeks. I can confirm that it felt like a cult and was run very incompetently dishonestly. Taught me many great lessons though, NR1 being stay away from AIESEC. Sororities. Deleted. Hoa, S. Mega churches. The ones that air on TV with a crowd that rivals sports teams, owns sports arenas and has its pastors fly in private jets. There, I said it. The televangelists. A few years ago, my sister introduced me to a new church. I forgot what it was called. Anyway, once I came inside, I realized it was weird the moment I came in. First, they asked for my email address near the entrance, which would have been weird on its own. But after a few minutes of preaching, weirdness ensued. There were a lot of people praying loudly, hollering how great Jesus. Some people were praying on the bare floor. I don't even know how to describe this. Even my sister joined in. Once it was over, I drove home, feeling a bit creeped out. I only went there once and I'm not planning on coming back again anytime soon. I don't know about other churches, but this one was, in a word, bizarre. Edit, typos. Deleted. Diet culture. Keto. Paleo. Dash. When I saw keto pop up, it reminded me of the Atkins diet my mom was on for a hot minute way back when. Flat Earth Society. Their inability to understand that the earth is not flat baffles me to oblivion. It's absurd people still think the earth is flat. Anyone remember Tumblr before it got sold and they banned the porn? That shit was scary. Dashkin, Miss Apocalypse, RLWI's blog, the MCRMY, Dan and Phil, Super Halok in general, the Homestuck vs Hitalia Wars, sending death threats to people who shipped your not, the girl who made jewelry out of grava-robbed bones. I could go on. The best part was them losing like a solid 70% of their user base and quietly rolling back the autoban. Reddit sometimes. Sometimes? Bit of an understatement. The Joyo fandom. Is that AJ Ojo RFRNC question mark? Improv. Deleted. Farmville. Is it 2010 again? Politics, lately. Yay, people that go super hard for politicians are super culty lol. The Dream SMP fanbase. Wawa. I am a card-carrying Wawa cultist. They don't exist where I live, and my first stop after getting off the plane is the sacred shrine. I will even admit that I hug one of the pillars out front. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but the first rule is we don't talk about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Jehovah's Witnesses. Just admit it's a cult. Former JW. Edit, thanks for the award. Also the fact that they call people who don't participate worldly and can't call them friends, and they literally shun people. My mom told the elders I had sex because she went through my phone, so they reduced my privileges like participating in Bible study, which was a huge thing and people noticed. I was 15. The adults told their kids not to speak to me. I left a month after. They also shunned my gay uncle and sympathized child molesters. Surprised I had to scroll this far. Blue Oyster Cult. I'm burning for you. The Kardashian followers. Anti-vaxxers. And I guess a lot of the new age stuff closely resembles or has all what it takes to fall under the category of a cult. Defek Hard Tall Sadhguru and Deepak Chopra crap could be considered cult-like. And of course, Osho. Keto. Did you know that you can make mac and cheese but with cauliflower? And you can make mashed potatoes but with cauliflower? And you can make fried rice but with cauliflower?